I'm going to introduce the fourth person here, which might be a little change of pace because it's an attorney. So, wow, bummer. But a cool attorney, okay? Monique Diaz, born in San Antonio, where she was raised by her Puerto Rican mother and Dominican father, earned her BA from the UT Austin and her JD, that'd be a law degree, from St. Mary's University School of Law, where she developed her passion for working with families and kids in the public and in the private sectors. She volunteers with nonprofits, boards, commissions, owns a general law practice, and it says here is currently running for judge. Is that correct? Please give it up for Monique Diaz.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Monique Diaz. I am extremely nervous, but I am very comforted by the fact that I'm on a stage that I've already made a fool out of myself dozens of times on during coronation, so it can't get any worse. I'm probably going to run out of breath during this presentation. I don't think I'm doing it right, but let's give it a shot. This is me and my beautiful niece, Kaylee. Believe it or not, this onesie rockin' role model has owned her own law firm here since 2010. Well, me, not Kaylee. And I've pretty much done it all. I've been a city attorney and city prosecutor. I've represented businesses, nonprofits, victims of domestic violence, veterans, families, the poor, pretty much everyone and every issue. But I'm here to talk to you about one issue in particular that has divided our nation for years, and that is whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Now, spoiler alert, for those of you who haven't seen it, Die Hard is a movie about a police officer, Bruce Willis, whose attempts to reconcile with his estranged wife are foiled when a group of German terrorists holds her and her co-workers hostage, assassinates her business partner and lover, splattering their brains all over the place, attempts to murder multiple police officers, while Bruce Willis is forced to use his crazy mad skills to literally walk on broken glass, fight these terrorists with his bare hands before stealing their weapons and explosives, murdering, maiming, and blowing them up, saving the day. Now, that's your typical Christmas story, right? I know y'all are looking at me thinking I'm crazy and what the hell am I doing talking about this ridiculous issue? And 2-year-old me looks like she agrees with you. But 33-year-old me hopes that this is an example of how lawyers think on a daily basis. Now, this is me on my grandma's lap with my mom. And my grandma used to sit at the foot of my bed every night and say, "Mija, dale gracias a Dios por tus bendiciones y reza por los desafortunados." Thank God for your many blessings and pray for the less fortunate. And that was so powerful that it made me want to devote my life to giving back to others. So I grew up, incurred oodles of debt, became the first in my family to graduate from college, and then went to law school, where I planned on using my law degree to help those in need. And law school completely changed my way of thinking. It taught me how to think like a lawyer. But what does that mean? Well, they taught us this fancy little acronym called IRAC. And it means you identify an issue, then you find the rules that apply to that issue, apply the rules to the facts of your case to come to a conclusion. And that, my friends, is the big secret of being a lawyer. So what's the issue in this case? Whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Now, in the legal world, the rules we look at are the laws and the case law that interprets those laws. So if the facts of a previously decided case are similar enough to the facts of a new case, you generally come to the same conclusion. And sometimes you look to legislative history too. But it's not like there's some legislative committee coming up with all of these rules about what makes something a Christmas movie. But we as a society have previously decided that some of the classics like Home Alone, Elf, or It's a Wonderful Life are definitely Christmas movies. But what makes us come to that conclusion? Well, we look to our own history and our own personal experiences. So for me, when I think of Christmas, and for many others, besides it being Jesus' birthday, I think of things like ugly homemade Christmas sweaters and Christmas lights, Christmas music, and dance parties, fondly referred to as Wednesday nights at my parents' house. But let's apply those rules to the facts of Die Hard. Now, it happens during Christmas at a Christmas party, and you'll see there's these lights illuminating the walls and these beautiful poinsettias and people wearing red, white, and green velour sweaters, and there was Christmas music and probably a killer dance party before these guys showed up. But what else makes us think of Christmas? Well, for me, I think of Santa hats and being surrounded by presents that your loved ones so thoughtfully picked out for you after you worked so hard all year to stay on Santa's nice list. I also think of snow and snowmen, like that one time it actually snowed enough to make snowmen in San Antonio. So here we see the oh-so-thoughtful Bruce Willis found the time to create a lovely, homemade, ugly Christmas sweater from scratch, and then use that Christmas sweater to wrap up his surprise Christmas gifts to the terrorists. The dead body of their beloved colleague, topped off with a Christmas hat, by the way. And here on the left, we'll see that Santa Willis keeps a list on his arm of all of the naughty terrorists that he crosses off as he murders them or leaves them to die. While on the right, we see this beautiful snowfall of bond paper and tariffs, and this snowflake terrorist who is plunging to his death after thinking that he was unique and wouldn't get killed by Bruce. So clearly all of these rules that make a movie a Christmas movie apply to Die Hard, and my conclusion is that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but I was taught that a good lawyer always tries to look at both sides. So is there any good reason why we shouldn't consider Die Hard a Christmas movie when we compare it to some of the other classics like Home Alone, Elf, or It's a Wonderful Life? Well, in one, there's an abandoned child who is burning and torturing criminals. In another one, there's an orphaned baby who is repeatedly rejected by his birth father. And in the other, there's a father who's trying to commit suicide on Christmas Day in order to avoid jail time. So no, there's no good reason why we shouldn't consider Die Hard a Christmas movie. Although Bruce Willis would disagree with me, we IRAC'd, we identified the issue, we found the rules, applied them to the facts, and came to a conclusion. Now, it may not be a popular one, and we may not feel good about it, but we followed the rules. And that's what it's like for me to think as a lawyer day in and day out. I don't always get to pick my clients or the facts of their case or the law that applies to their case, but I can pick how I think about a case and articulate my arguments. And it's that has enabled me to see and argue every side of a case in almost every issue. So, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected judge in November, I'll have to look at things in much the same way, from every perspective, and with an open mind and an open heart. Because there's not always a right or wrong answer. Sometimes there's just more right or less wrong. So think about that when you go home to your families over the holidays and you are watching the quintessential holiday movies like Die Hard and arguing over, who called the best spot on the couch first or whose turn it is to have the remote. Try to remember to apply IRAC, but to also listen with an open mind and an open heart. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, I am not Randy Beamer. I'm, to clarify that. I'm Meredith Dobie. I'm the head of exhibits at the museum. Thank you. Gary and I will be signing up people to join our dance troupe in the back. He'll have a clipboard back there, so make sure to join us next time. So Monique, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. This was hilarious to me because my partner Brian last Christmas said, "Oh, I want to watch a Christmas movie," and I got so excited because he never does stuff like that. And then he put on Die Hard, and I was like, "Come on!" But I love how this was so much about your family. So I want to ask you, growing up, did you always know you wanted to be a lawyer? Did you come out of the womb with a Nancy Reagan power suit and stilettos and ready to go?
According to my mom, yes. According to how I used to very articulately and calmly argue with her and my brothers, I think that she always thought I was going to be a lawyer. I always knew I wanted to do something to help others, and so over the years that evolved into me realizing that my greatest ability was my education and my brains, and so I decided to apply that to getting a law degree and helping families and kids in our community that way.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely evident. So, question. In our most recent primary elections, hopefully you all voted and were part of that, it was definitely a really big moment for women. It was a big moment for women in politics in Texas and in the nation. So do you think, as somebody who's currently running, do you think this is a really big moment right now for women in politics?
Absolutely. I'm so encouraged by the fact that I'm running with so many amazing women across the board, just here in Bexar County, but you're seeing it all across the nation. Women are running in all sorts of races, and not just women. You know, we have queer people, and people of color, and all sorts of people that we don't generally see in these types of races historically. So it's been very encouraging. It's been amazing, and it's just a sign that, you know, people are pissed off. Women are pissed off. We're tired of being, you know, disrespected, treated, not being treated equally and not being listened to. And so I think we're seeing, you know, women finally taking things into their own hands through politics and, you know, quite literally, you know, grabbing this election by the ballot box.
All right. Yeah. I like where you took that there. All right. Thank you. Final question. Monique Diaz for president 2024? Yeah? Maybe?
I don't think so. I think I'm pretty good here. I've got my law degree, and I'm using that to run for judge. I think that's my best contribution and how I can give back to my community. I really don't have any interest in running for president. But
okay. We'll start with judge. Let's start with judge. Get out there in November. And thank you. Thank you, Monique.